First and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and who was worthy to be counted for double honors. Peace and salutations to you brothers out there pushing this truth wholeheartedly and sincerely and for love of the gospel. It's the brother Gabaria from the Indiana camp coming back at you again with another sit down. And I'm gonna entitle this making sure we're examining ourselves. All right. Because examining yourselves in this truth is very crucial. All right. If you don't examine yourself, you're liable to go off. All right. And you're not going to see it coming. OK. That's why you examine yourself before Yahweh Shai examine you is always the best way. You know, making sure you're catching things and making sure you're doing things that's right before Yahweh Shai gets on your case. All right. That's why the scriptures, which I'm a pull that in 1 Corinthians, it talks about, you know, a spiritual man, judge of all things, you know, even himself. And that's why it says in the latter part of that says what? But he himself is judged by no man, because why? He's going to get on himself first. See, you know, if you're spiritual, if you have a spiritual mind, then you're going to make sure that yourself is right before you talk about anybody else. OK, you got to take out that beam in your eye. You know, the scriptures talk about that in the book of Matthew. You can't, you know, sit here and tell a person about his faults and you got things going on in yourself. Now we all got things going on. I'm not saying you have to be, you know, perfect or you have to be, you know, flawless, but you have to walk a certain way in this truth. All right. You have to be what's the scripture says, blameless, you know. All right, let me get this is 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. It says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves. It says, see, when you prove something, let's look at the word prove right now. It says to test, examine, prove, to recognize and genuine after examination, to approve, deem worthy. See, so, and whatever you deemed worthy is basically you're saying this thing is worthy to do this. You know, it can get the job done. You know, so if you call yourself a man of the Lord, you call yourself a prophet, and we read about certain things the prophets went through, certain things the prophets did, certain things the prophets' mindsets were. You know, you're examining. You're like, well, am I doing those things? Can I fit that? Can I fit that description? And if you find yourself leaning more so on then you're doing the righteous work. You're doing a good work. But if you're reading the scriptures and you be like, damn, I don't do this, I don't do that, you know. That means you're met with an outcome. You either need to change, or maybe this thing is not for you. You know. But a righteous man is going to examine himself daily. This is no, you just examine yourself and you give your like a job. You give yourself what is it? You give yourself an examination every 1 or twice a year. You know, and you just go through the motions. No, man, you examine yourself daily, man. You gotta. It's a reason why this thing is called a fight, all right? And you got to go through it daily. You see? Let me grab this one right quick. This is Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 40. It says, let us search and try our ways and turn again to the Lord. Yep, see, we have to search and try our ways, man. You know, to search out, distinguish oneself, to think out, to devise, you know. It says to search out, to expose. See, you got to expose yourself sometimes, you know. If you've been BSing or if you've been nonchalant or you haven't been doing what's right, you are the one to get on yourself first. That's why we constantly call this a battle, all right? It's a constant battle between what? The flesh and the spirit. Soul of the flesh shall reflect the soul of the spirit. I think this is it. And come on, man. Hold on, bear with me, Slakia. There it is. It's lusteth. I thought it said wareth. It's Galatians 5:17. I'm gonna start from 16. It says, this is Galatians 5:16. It says, this I say then, it says, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. See? So if you're walking in the spirit, and I didn't grab it. Bible Lucky. What was it? One. How did it go? Yeah, verse 15, it says, but he that is spiritual, judge of all things, yet he himself is judge of no man. It says, for whom hath known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him, but we have the mind of Mashiach. See? So it says, what? He that is spiritual, judge of all things, even himself. Make sure before he judged anything else, best believe he judged himself before. That's why it says what? Yet he himself is judge of no man. Why? Because he was on himself first. All right? 5:16, it says, this I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. See, so if we're walking in the spirit, if we're constantly walking in the spirit, we're going to examine ourselves, man. The spirit is going to lead you to that. It's like a default. The spirit is going to make sure you are on point before you go out and say anything about anybody else. All right? So we got to make sure that we're doing what's right. We got to make sure we are examining ourselves before anything that we spew out of our mouths, or anything that we want to get on another brother or Jacob about, you know. Verse 17, it says, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. See? So sometimes, man, you fall short. You know, sometimes, we're not perfect. So sometimes we fall short of the things that we want to do. You know, the flesh might, overcome. We might get weak. You know, you might want to do, a video that day, but things happened and you got overwhelmed, and, you know how it gets sometimes. You got overwhelmed, and then things got too much for you to bear. You said you was going to do them when you got home, but when you got home, you ate and went to sleep, So certain things, that we want to do that we don't do, but is that an excuse for us to just do whatever? Is that an excuse for us to be like, you know what, fuck it, I can't do right, and I'm just not going to do right at all? No, that's why it's a constant fight, It's a constant fight within yourselves, man. All right? We used to always say, man, there's going to be 5 things that's going to come against you in this truth, man. All right? And one of those things is your flesh, you yourself, the man that you look in the mirror. That's the number one. Really, to be honest, that's your number one enemy, Besides the 2/3 Esau, this world or whatever, the number one enemy is yourself. The person that you look in the mirror, that's the person who's going to fight with you, because guess what? You are yourself. Hey, scripture says that. We just read it. In 2 Corinthians, it says, know ye not your own selves? You know what your weaknesses is. You know what things that you want to do. You know your hobbies. You know things that you can do this all day and not care about. You know those things, man. So it's up to you to keep yourself in check. What did Paul say? Paul says what? I keep the members up under subjection. See? So he made sure that what? The things he lent his members into was under subjection. Yeah, Paul probably wanted to do this and do that and do that, you know. But he said, no, forget that. My members are going to do this according to the Spirit. You see? And that's what it's all about. That discipline. That's why it says in Sirach and Wisdom of Solomon, what? The desire of discipline, man. You have to be disciplined in this truth. You know? You can't just sit here and just be willing. You know? You're just doing whatever you feel like doing. Or you indulging in everything that comes to your mind. No, man. That's not examining yourself, man. That's not walking in faith. You just doing anything that your heart desires, man. That's the flesh lusting, you know? Anything that you want to do, you just do it. That's not how a man of the Lord is supposed to conduct himself. All right? And especially the times that we're coming in, the Passover is right around the corner, man. We're supposed to be in a spirit of constantly watching, you know? And I'll say watch, I'm talking about watching yourselves, you know? This is when the Lord moves. I mean, the Lord moves throughout the whole entire year, but it's like it narrows down. It zones in heavier. It zones in heavy on the around the Passover season, man. This is when things starts to get exposed. This is when things start to be brought out. You know, this is when the Lord really starts to move, and you don't want to get caught in that. You don't want to get caught in that fire. As some people are, I ain't gonna say no names, but as some people are in the fire right now, you know, and they're not handling it. So you don't want to be caught in that. So guess what? The Lord gives you a chance to examine yourselves first. The Lord gives you an opportunity for you to rectify it before he has to do it. And best believe if the Lord has to intervene, if the Lord steps in, then guess what? The Lord was just tired of your BS. The Lord was tired of you and your bullshit. All right. The Lord probably gave you ample amount of time, ample amount of opportunities to rectify certain things, to get certain things right, to come back unto him. Because the scripture talks about how the Lord is long suffering. But then eventually what? The Lord's not going to just sit here and just keep bearing you over and over and over again. He's going to eventually move. And you don't want to see when the Lord moves, because when the Lord moves, he moves. And there's nothing that you can do to draw him back. You know? The Lord's going to move on you until he's fulfilled, until he feel like you had enough, you know? So, I mean, I didn't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to get this quick hit in. You know, Lord will help this video is edifying. Like I said, man, examine yourselves, man, and walk in the spirit, you know? And you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh, all right?